The Government of Ontario will release its latest economic and fiscal update in just over an hour's time. The plans are expected to focus on the province's response to COVID-19. Vic Fedeli is Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade, and is with us now from North Bay. Thank you for being with us, sir. Just in terms of what's on the table here, I mean, you are, as is the federal government, putting off a kind of a formal budget. What kind of help can be offered provincially on top of what's happening at the federal level?
Well, I certainly won't usurp the Minister of Finance with the news, but I can tell you last week was the first, I'll call it a bucket, was $304 million, and it was specifically for the health sector. And I know the Premier has promised relief directly to families and to businesses. So I would think that you'll see the details of what we mean by that. And yesterday was $165 million in relief on the hydro bill. The day before was $200 million in relief through the social services, an additional $200 million. So each and every day we've been coming out with packages of various types of relief for individuals and families.
What's your internal thinking about how long this needs to go on? And I say that knowing that nobody really knows, but just from a kind of an internal planning point of view, what are we thinking about?
Well, so nobody really knows. So from a technical point of view, when the Premier declared the state of emergency, that gives us 14 days. If necessary, we have the ability to do that again for an additional 14 days, and then we need to have a more formal structure in Parliament. So from a technical perspective, we're dealing with 14 and 14. The Premier did announce the requirement for non-essential businesses to close as well. That is also for a set period of days. So we're playing it with our carefully laid out plan within the limits of what we're allowed.
Your portfolio obviously encompasses so many important aspects of this, right? Long-term economic development, job creation. With people kind of frozen in place here, are you already starting to think about ways to restart, ways to help businesses that do have to pause right now?
Well, certainly we have many of the teams underway. It's imperative that we maintain all of our critical infrastructure, the supply chains that continue to keep Ontario safe and fed. Those all have to be maintained. So we've got our teams working on that. We've also launched a website, which we've collected more than 2,000 companies now on Ontario Together. And these are companies that want to convert their facilities to helping us manufacture those vital goods that we need right now: masks, gowns, ventilators, respirators, gloves. So that's another area. And then, of course, we do have another team looking at the longer-term economic picture and the economic recovery. But right now, our immediate need is the safety and well-being of the people of Ontario.
And there's a lot that is moving on that front, right? We don't know yet how severe this might get, what help hospitals might need, et cetera. How far do you think governments need to be prepared to go? We're no longer talking at the moment about deficit control, about, everybody I'm talking to says just get the job done. But what might that mean?
Well, I'll repeat your words, get the job done. The Premier has said we will spare no expense. This is what your government is for, to help families in their greatest time of need. And everybody would agree this is our greatest time of need. So he has said, so I don't mind repeating, no expense will be spared.
We are making great efforts, but we're hearing from the Prime Minister that they may get even tougher on people in terms of enforcing quarantine and the like. What more needs to happen provincially to make sure that people do adhere to social distancing and quarantine when necessary?
Well, the Premier's message has been very, very clear. If you're a snowbird who's come home, you go home. You don't park your RV at a store and go in and shop. You can order online. You can have things delivered. This social distancing, our new phrase, this is very, very serious. You cannot be near people. You need to self-isolate for 14 days. When you see somebody with a tan walking into a store, you know they've just come home from Florida. And this is absolutely wrong. It's the message from the Prime Minister, the message from the Premier has been you need to self-isolate. You need to take this seriously. You need to practice all of the conventions that we've announced to the people of Ontario.
We've seen these numbers, the number of million Canadians seeking assistance, just the beginning, as we both know. And the business confidence number is the one that really grabbed us, right? Just the depths of confidence lost here. What could you say to businesses? Because the uncertainty about what kind of support they might get is a big part of what makes people feel such lack of confidence right now. How can you reassure?
Both the Premier and myself, we're lifelong entrepreneurs. We know what it's like to get a call from a banker at 7:30 in the morning, wondering how you're going to make your payroll today. We're both been in business all our lives and experienced those. So we're both on this file, but there's nobody as a better champion for business than the Premier himself. And so my message to the business community is you've got fellow business people who are at the helm, and know that with confidence that we have their interest. We understand how important it is for our economy, for our families to be working. So that's why we put a package for health. The next package will be for individuals and families, and another package announced at the same time for businesses.
All right. We appreciate your time today, Minister.
Thanks, Amanda.
Vic Fedeli is Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade.